It's Only the End of the World is a drama film about a terminally ill playwright who, after a 12-year absence, returns to his hometown, reunites with his family, comprised of his younger sister, his older brother and his wife and his mother, and is planning on announcing them about his eventual death. The family members are nervous, superficial, short-tempered, mean, brash, and loud, to say the least, and their biggest shortcoming is apparent from the get-go. It's them not being able to listen and empathize with each other. Basically, the whole afternoon turns into an aggressive and emotionally exhausting barrage of insults and fights. This is a very human story about some very raw human experiences that deal with very complicated family relations, miscommunication, misunderstandings, frustrations accumulated over years of being incapable of accepting the people around you, whether they are the ones who stick by you and who you live with, or the ones who eventually leave in pursuit of a more fulfilled life. The film, I think, is equally about the incredibly flawed individuals who inhabit this world, this house, but surprisingly enough also about the people who are not native to this world but have ended up being part of it and accepting it. That's Marion Cotillard's character, who is Vincent Cassel's wife, and also about the people who have already left and have ended up being outside of it, becoming a sort of alien, a mere image of the person they once were to these other people, and that's Louis, our main character, who kind of ends up becoming this sort of god figure who is at the same time worshipped but also rejected. I mean, he is that family member who left and has become more successful. His sister sure looks up to him, but his brother, on the other hand, is really not happy about the fact that he is here. I think the most fascinating interactions in the film take place between Louis and Catherine, because, like I said, they are the ones who are not completely absorbed in this world. They actually manage to get somewhat on the same page, precisely because they are the quiet ones. They are the ones who are capable of observing a little bit more, of listening, of reading between the lines, of getting a little bit under the surface of things. They are the ones who actually attempt at changing their perception about the people around them instead of just boxing them into this image. And they manage to communicate so much without verbalizing than the others ever managed to communicate through verbalization. Writer and director Xavier Dolan has said that he is very proud of a little moment in the film. It's when Catherine realizes Louis' secret and vice versa. He realizes that she's realized his secret too, that he's eventually going to die, despite him not having told anyone about it until that point. And she eventually does ask him about how much time he has left. And these very little touches and Marion Cotillard's performance really create this very interesting character, because you would think that this is a very shy and helpless person. She really has a hard time finding the right words to express herself. She rarely, if ever, finishes a sentence. But on the other hand, she is in fact incredibly brave and very eager to get straight to the point. She does stand up to her husband, who happens to be a gigantic asshole. But she does stand up to him, but in her very own little way, not in a way you would expect. And she definitely defies initial impressions. The little moment with these two characters realizing the secret is a very good moment, and I was kind of bummed out about those sort of moments lacking in the rest of the film. The whole rest of the film is basically a lot of arguing and shouting and screaming and pointing fingers, but eventually I got it. Eventually I got that every character in this film has his own tactics, has his own means. There's basically an art to arguing here, and the absolute master of that is indeed Antoine, who, despite being a gigantic douchebag, as I said, is actually a character I found to be a little bit more relatable than the others, because despite his rudeness and his brashness and his unrelentlessness, and despite him being so incredibly uncompromising and merciless, and despite him not being able to see through his own bullshit, he is actually capable of seeing through everyone else's bullshit. And he does not hold back at all when it comes to putting people down for it, and many times deservedly and justifiably so, I might add. I mean, there's a moment when the mother is telling some stupid story and he calls her out for it, like, why are you telling this story for the millionth time? We heard it all before. Or he calls out the sister for dressing up a certain way, for acting a certain way, for wearing makeup, which she never does. I mean, it's so incredibly obvious that everyone is just trying their damnedest to please and to impress Louis, and Antoine, not only is he not trying to do that, he actually is trying to prevent it and trying to call everyone out for the bullshit that they are doing. And interestingly enough, he sees through Louis' bullshit as well, and this leads to my absolute favorite scene in the film. It's when these two guys get in the car to go and buy cigarettes, and it starts out like a long uninterrupted shot. It ends up not being one for the entirety of the sequence. I really wish it was, but Louis, in an attempt to create small talk and chit-chat, is telling him about, I think, how after he arrived at the airport, he didn't go straight to the house, but decided to have a coffee by himself at the airport because he didn't want to hurry because he was so nervous about meeting with his family again. And Antoine perceived this as something incredibly trivial and just a sad excuse at trying to create conversation, and he just begins to roast Louis' ass completely. He begins to shut him down and shut him out. He goes on this long, angry tirade about just how fed up he is about being fed meaningless and useless information about stuff he makes clear he doesn't give a single solitary fuck about. And that he believes that no one truly does or should. Now, he is being brutally honest here, and like I said, I don't think he's 100% capable of seeing through his own bullshit, because he does say that the reason he prefers to not talk and to remain silent is not that he is interested in hearing what people have to say, or that he likes to listen, but quite on the contrary, he prefers to be left alone. I mean, really? You don't like to talk? Really? This film received polarizing reactions at the Cannes Film Festival last year, with some critics calling it, and I quote, disappointing, cold, deeply unsatisfying, while others were calling it brilliant. And I have to confess, I couldn't fully jump on board after my initial viewing either, but I think it has to do with a clash between what the film shows you and your own life experiences, because yeah, there is a sense that people in the real world don't really talk the way these characters talk in the film. It's not like people don't burst into angry fits of rage or anything like that, or don't explode out of anger, but in the film there's an artificiality to it. There's an over-stylization, an over-exaggeration. It was why they chose to film and construct this movie almost entirely out of close-ups. We are constantly in the actors' faces, and it was a way of saying that, hey, it's not just the words, it's not just the dialogue, despite it being so overbearing and so omnipresent. It's not just the words they say that give away these characters. It's not just what they choose to externalize verbally. It's also their facial expressions and what they choose to hide behind it, and what they hide behind it is a lot of pain. I don't think it's so much of a case of what's not being said or what's not being stated being more revelatory than what's being said. I don't think this is a case of a family like talking about everything except what is truly important. I truly think they do talk and they want to talk. They do make statements, they do have opinions. I think they're actually desperate to do it. This is a chance for them to finally let out all of this bottled up frustration to a person who just came back and who might actually be willing to listen to them. I don't think the problem here is really that they don't know how to communicate. I think the main problem here is really that they don't know what exactly it is that they are trying to communicate, and that's this family's biggest downfall and shortcoming. Man, this is a pretty sad movie here, folks. So that will be it in a nutshell. I like this film now. I had to watch it twice, and I had to listen to interviews and read up on it. But I truly enjoy it now. I really think it's a rich film, even though it's very raw on an emotional level, and it's deliberately cold. And I really don't think it's for everyone. I think the film proved that it's not for everyone. Maybe unintentionally so, but still. I don't agree with Xavier Dolan that this is his best film. I really do think that Lawrence Anyways and Mommy were better. But this really isn't bad either, and it's something different. I myself would definitely recommend it. So my question to you guys would be actually two questions. You can answer both of them or just one of them, either one of them, however you wish. What is either your favorite Xavier Dolan film, or what is your favorite film that involves a family quarrel as its essential plot? I'm really curious to know. I usually love these types of films. So don't forget to leave that down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you later with other reviews. Until then, folks, stay cool, stay awesome, goodbye.